Hello, welcome back in LADALIDI's tutorial. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to create this 3D compass icon in Adobe Illustrator. This 3D compass icon is not made in a 3D application. It is purely made entirely in Adobe Illustrator. We start with a circle with light reflection on the top and a dark side as a shadow at the bottom to impress 3D round edges. Then create an emboss effect on it. Give it a halo effect with a large hole in the center for the compass needle, and finally create the compass needle. And last, give it a shadow to make it more realistic as a 3D object. So let's get started. First of all, create a document with the artboard size of 1920 by 1980 pixels. I have created a color palette for this project. I created it based on the category of objects that we will create later. You can screenshot this color palette or you can download it in the description box. Okay, let's create the background first. Activate the rectangle tool and create a rectangle according to the artboard size. Open the gradient panel and click the gradient annotator to apply this gradient color to the object. First, change the angle to 19 degrees and then change the color of these two existing color stops. Click the color stops on the left and activate the color picker below it and choose a color in the background color palette. Do the same for the other color stop and choose a lighter color. To make this gradient look softer, move this midpoint to the left until it's 35%. Or you can directly give the location with 35%. Now I will lock this background by locking the layer. Open the layer panel. Click the empty box next to the eye icon, and if a lock icon appears, then this layer is fully locked. Double-click on the text layer wand and name background. We cannot add any object of this layer anymore. And to be able to add new object on the artboard is to create a new layer above this background layer by clicking the plus icon or the Create New Layer button. Double-click on the text layer 2 and name it 3D icon or whatever name you choose, so that we can easily organize the objects that we will create. This layer for the background and for the new one for the 3D compass icon. Now we are going to start creating the 3D compass icon. First, create a circle using the ellipse tool. Activate the ellipse tool on the toolbar and click anywhere on the artboard. Fill the wake and height with 500 pixels. After we create the circle, then remove the black line on this circle. There are many ways to remove line or stroke from an object. The one I most often showed in the previous video was by using the stroke box on the toolbar. Select the stroke box first and click the None button below it. The second way is the Properties panel. If you don't have a Properties panel like I have here, you can go to the Window menu and look for the Properties. In the Properties panel, you will find the Stroke and Fill box. Just click this stroke box and click Non-Color in this Swatches panel. And the third way is to open the Appearance panel. You can also find it in the Window menu. In this Appearance panel, you will also find the Stroke box and the Fill box. Just click the Stroke drop-down menu and select Non-Color. You can click one of the two, the drop-down menu, or directly click the stroke box. After removing the stroke color of this circle, now we are going to give it a gradient color. Open the gradient panel and click the gradient annotator. Change the angle to 90 degrees and reposition this midpoint to the center or just fill the location with 50%. Select the color stop on the left and activate the color picker below it. Select the first color in the best color palette. For the color stop on the right, pick the second color. After being colored, then move this color stop slightly to the left or just fill the location to 70% so that we get a lighter color than it's more dominant. Now we are going to emboss this circle, and unfortunately you won't find this emboss effect in Adobe Illustrator, so we have to create it manually. Create another circle using the ellipse tool with the same size of 500 by 500 pixels. Remove the Fill color in the toolbar by clicking the Fill box and then the None button below it. After that, activate the stroke box just by clicking on it. Now open the gradient panel. Click this gradient annotator or gradient slider. Change the angle to 90 degrees. For the color stop on the left, give the dark green color in the Emboss palette. And for the color stop on the right, give the white color in the palette. Then change the location to 60%. Increase its stroke weight to 4 pixels. After that, go to the Effect menu, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and fill the radius with 5 pixels. Place it just above the first circle. Create another circle with the same size. And place it right above the previous 2 circles. Select all. Right-click, make clipping mask, and done. So that's how to create an emboss effect manually in Adobe Illustrator. And I know it's very easy to create an effect like this in the Photoshops. We just need to do a few clicks to get it. Compared to Illustrator, we have to do it manually by creating several objects. Even so, we are able to do it. Next, we are going to create the second emboss effect, but it's easier than the previous one. First, create another circle with a size of 410 by 410 pixels. Place it in the center by using the Align tool. And now, we're going to give it a gradient color with the colors of the second emboss palette. Open the gradient panel. Click the gradient annotator to apply this gradient to the circle. Change the angle to 90 degrees. Click the color stop on the left. Activate the color picker below it. And choose the first color in the second emboss palette. And the other color stop is white. Don't forget to set the midpoint to the 35% location. We're also going to give it a Gaussian blur to create an embossed effect. Go to the Effect menu, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and just give it a radius of 4 pixels. At first glance, it looks like a convex circle on top of these rounded edges, and it was exactly as expected. Now we are going to create a concave effect. As opposed to the convex effect that we just created, create another circle with a size of 350 by 350 pixels. Place it in the middle. Open the gradient panel. Click Gradient Annotator. For the color stop on the left, give it a white color. And for the color stops on the right, give it a green color in the Halo color palette. Create another circle with the same size. Use the Eyedropper tool to sample the line colors palette. In the Fill and Stroke box, click the Sweep Fill and Stroke button to set the fill color to the stroke and increase the stroke weight to 2 points. Also, place it in the middle. Now, we move on to step 3, which is creating the innermost part of this 3D compass icon. If you look at the result of the 3D compass icon, it looks like a big green hole in the middle. It likes the deepest part of an analog watch where the hour hand and the digits are, and the other part is in the frame. And to create something like this, we just need to create another circle and give it an inner shadow. And for this part, we use the inner part color palette and the inner shadow palette. We need 2 color palettes because we need 2 objects to produce this deepest part. First, create a circle with a size of 280 by 280 pixels. Place it in the middle. And for this circle, we give it a gradient color with the inner parts palette. Open the gradient panel. Change the gradient type to radial gradient. For the color stop on the left, give it the first color in the inner part palette. And for the color stop on the right, give the third color in the inner part palette. And create a color stop between the 2 existing color stops. You just need to hover your cursor at the bottom of the gradient annotator until your cursor has a plus sign and click. Give the second color on the inner part palette. And finally, move these middle color stops until it's close to the right color stop. Or, in an accurate way, just change the location to 85%. If we look at this radial gradient, the resulting shadow appears to have a rough transitions, so it doesn't seem like a natural shadow. To fix it, we just need to set the midpoint between these two color stops on the right. Just click this midpoint and change its location value to 80%. And now the resulting shadow looks more natural. To create the second shadow, we need another circle with the same size, 280 by 280 pixels. Give it a gradient color with the inner shadow color palette. And for this second shadow, we only need two color stops, so we need to remove this middle color stop. It is very easy. Just click and drag away from the gradient annotator. For the color stop on the right, give it the second color in the inner shadow palette. And for the color stop on the left, give the first color. Then fill the location with 40% and change the opacity to 0%. Now, we're gonna modify the positions of this gradient by using the gradient tool in the toolbar. Activate the gradient tool, and what we'll modify is the gradient slider on this circle object. I'm going to zoom in a bit so we can see it clearly. Move your cursor to the far right of this gradient slider until your cursor has a resize icon, not the pointing hand icon, but the cursor icon with the resize symbol. Click and drag to the right of the circle. This makes the gradient radius wider, so this gradient color can cover the object more widely. After that, move your cursor again to this gradient slider line. Click and drag a little bit down until the center of the radial gradient is not in the center of the circle. So, the other part of the darkest color of this gradient comes out of the circle, so we'll get a bigger shadow area at the top, like this. The way the resulting shadow effect is thicker at the top of 45 degrees, so we can get a more natural depth effect. The deepest part of the compass icon will look more realistic by adding this second shadow. Next, to get a more realistic impression, make another circle of the same size. Activate the eyedropper tool on the toolbar and choose a dark green color from the palette. Click the Sweep Fill and Stroke button and place it in the middle. And now everything looks like more realistic 3D object. And the last step in creating this 3D compass icon is to create the compass needle. But before creating the compass needle, first I'm gonna add the white lines element at the deepest part of this compass. Reuse the ellipse tool to create a small circle in the middle. This time I created it manually. Point the cursor to the middle of this 3D compass icon. You will find a guide that says center. If your cursor is right in the middle, press the Alt key and hold while dragging it out. Before releasing the Click and Alt key, simultaneously press the Shift key as well. By combining Alt plus Shift key on the keyboard, it allows us to create a perfect circle and create it from the center point. For the size, you can make it freely. Use the eyedropper tool to sample the light green color in the inner part palette. And click the Sweep Fill and Stroke button to switch the fill color to the stroke, so that we only have the stroke without the fill. Create one more circle using the same method. Press Alt plus Shift and draw the circle with a different size. Now we're gonna blend these two circular lines by using the Blend tool. Activate the Blend tool and start clicking these circles one by one. Double-click the Blend tool on the toolbar to open the Blend Options panel. If it doesn't work, you can open it in the Object menu. Blend, Blend Options. Set the spacing to specified step and give it a value of 10. Click OK. Because this line is too contrast and looks dominant, we have to make it look soft. The way is to open the Transparency panel and set its opacity to 50%. Now it's time to create the compass needle. The compass needle that we will create consists of two parts. The first part is a north-south needle, and the middle part is needle pinned. Now, let's create the compass needle first. Create a square using the rectangle tool with a size of 30 by 120 pixels. In the Fill and Stroke box, click Default Fill and Stroke so we can see this rectangle clearly. From this rectangle, we're gonna create a triangle by removing one of its anchor points. open the toolbar, click and hold the pen tool. So a pen tool selection panel with a specific function will appear. And to delete an anchor point of this rectangle, we're gonna use the Delete Anchor Point tool. And select the anchor point on the top left corner of this rectangle. Activate the selection tool, press and hold the Alt key on keyboard and drag it to the left to duplicate this triangle. Right-click, Transforms, Reflect. Set it to vertical axis and click OK. Bring these two triangles together on the vertical side like this. Select these two triangles again. Right-click, Transforms, Reflect. This time set it to vertical axis and click Copy. In this way, we no longer need to duplicate it at the beginning. It will be duplicated automatically by clicking the Copy button instead of the OK button. Bring this triangle closer again to its horizontal side. Now, we're going to color it with the Compass Color Palette. Use the eyedropper tool and set the color like this. You can press Ctrl or Command on the keyboard to select the next object, and release the Ctrl or Command button if you want to pick a color. Red for the north and white for the south. Select everything. Right-click and group. When it's finished, we just give it a pin in the middle. Create another circle with a size of 40 by 40 pixels. Place it in the center of the compass needle. Use the eyedropper tool to sample the gradient colors of this second embossed effect. In the gradient panel, make sure the angle is at 90 degrees. Go to the Edit menu, copy, paste in place, reduce its size to 20 by 20 pixels. Open Gradient panel and do a reverse gradient. Lastly, we just give it a blur effect. Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur, radius 2 pixels and click OK. Now place the compass needle into the center of this compass icon. You can use the Align tool to adjust it. And to make it look more realistic, we're going to give it a shadow. Shadow for the pin and shadow for the compass needle. Select the big circle on this pin, then go to the Effect menu. Stylize, Drop Shadow. Set the color to 003304. Multiply mode, 50% opacity, X and Y offset 3 pixels, and blur 3 pixels. Next, we are going to create the shadow for the compass needle. Before creating the shadow, I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees first. Press the Shift key on the keyboard to rotate it exactly 45 degrees. Go to the Effect menu again, Stylize, Drop Shadows. Keep using the previous shadow color, which is 003304. Multiply mode, 16% opacity, X offset 16 pixels, Y offset 15 pixels, and blur 8 pixels. It's perfect! And the very last step is to give it a shadow for the body of this 3D compass icon. To create shadow on the body of this compass, I will create shadows manually and separately with the aim that we can create realistic shadows. Besides that, we can have a lot control to adjust the shadow freely. To manually create shadows as I meant, first I will create two circles. The first with a size of 500 by 500 pixels and the second with a size of 450 by 450 pixels. Just give these two circles any flat color, and now I just give them a light green color. We are going to create a drop shadow on the bigger circle first, while still using the same color shadow as before. Multiply mode, opacity 45%, X offset 0 pixels, Y offset 68 pixels, and 37 pixels blur. After that, give a drop shadow effect on the small circle as well. Opacity 75%, X offset 0 pixels, Y offset 19 pixels, and a 16 pixels blur, and click OK. So my goal of using these two circles and giving them a different shadow effect so that we can get a more realistic shadow. This is for big and soft shadows, and this is for harsh and contrasting shadows. Next, select these two circles. Click again on the big circle to make it a key object. Click on Horizontal Align Center, then Vertical Align Bottom. Right-click and group. Place it in the center of the artboard so that it aligns with the compass icon. Right-click again, Arrange, Send to Back, and it's done perfectly. You don't need 3D software to make this 3D compass icon, right? All you need is Adobe Illustrator. Now you can practice following the technique I used to create this 3D compass icon. If this tutorial was helpful, don't forget to like, share, and click the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to get more useful tutorials in the future. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me in the comment. See you in the next tutorial.